and Project Isizwe. They've got a fascinating history linked to the city of Tshwane, and we'll get to that and what they want to do in the future. With me is Dudu Mkhwanazi, who's the CEO of Project Isizwe. Dudu, good chatting to you, and thanks for your time. Hello.
Hi, Asher. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So I'm going to get first up to this. I mean, your Wi-Fi is your space, right? So I've said this before speaking to you, that I think you and I have had a discussion off air before, and we both concur, which is that access to Wi-Fi has got to become a human right in our country. Do you agree?
Yes. So at Project Isizwe, we believe that internet access should be considered a human right. In fact, in 2016, the United Nations passed a declaration that actually proved exactly our sentiments, that internet access should become a human right. But unfortunately, there were other countries that opposed this declaration, and South Africa is amongst the countries that opposed the declaration.
Okay, so in fact, you're saying internet access, and I use the word Wi-Fi. There's a difference, right? Explain the difference. I mean, this is an overlap, but explain the difference.
Well, Wi-Fi is a source of connectivity to the internet, right? So there are different ways one can connect to the internet. So it could be through fiber, which most people in the suburbs or affluent areas in South Africa, utilize as a form of connectivity to the internet. Whereas what we do at Isizwe is we advocate as well as facilitate the rollout of free internet hotspots and a form of Wi-Fi connectivity for people in low-income communities. Why do we do this? A lot of townships in South Africa do not have access to fiber. So wireless connectivity is one of the many solutions. Amongst others, it could be satellite or TV white space. So there's different technologies that allow us to access the internet. And you're right, we at Project Isizwe, Wi-Fi connectivity is one of the technologies we use to connect low-income communities.
Okay, so there you are, the Wi-Fi is the gateway. So let's just touch on, because I mean, you've been pretty innovative in terms of what you do. The first one that certainly got us thinking was the twinning of the project around Wi-Fi to the city of Tshwane. What did you do then, and how many years ago was that?
That was 5 years ago. So in 2013, Alan Craig Jr., who's the founder of Project Isizwe, pitched the idea to Council of Tshwane at that time, that the idea of an internet access within a walking distance for people in low-income communities. And Council of Tshwane bought into that idea and got into a partnership under the MFMA Act with Project Isizwe to connect the citizens of Tshwane. What started as 25 hotspots grew to 200 hotspots, which grew 5 years later to 1,050 hotspots. I mean, with the city of Tshwane, while Project Isizwe was still a service provider at the time, in a week would connect about 600,000 unique users.
How many unique users?
600,000.
All right. So let's confirm. These were people who ordinarily would not have had access to Wi-Fi because it's too expensive, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, I would like to believe that many South Africans, and we had the Competition Commission public hearing sometime early this week, where the MNOs and other civil society made their presentations on how expensive data is. So data is expensive here in South Africa, and the civil society, even political parties, are aware of that, and we recognize that. So the internet access that Project Isizwe, in partnership with the city of Tshwane at that time, provided was purely in low-income communities. These are your communities in Atteridgeville, Mamelodi. There's people who could not ordinarily afford internet access. I mean, if you look at how much 1 gig of data costs, it's 149 Rand. So, and usually people in low-income communities would not typically buy large data bundles. So they would probably buy around 20 megs, which would cost about, 50 Rand to 60 Rand per 20 megs. And then for a person in the low-income communities to get to 1 gig while purchasing small amounts of bundles, that's like 80 times more than a person who's rich would spend. So we're talking about close to 800 Rand that people in low-income communities would spend to get to a gig of data. And mind you, a gig of data would not even last a person a day, not even a month.
So when you were able to do the deal with the city of Tshwane, how were you able to do that? Because I would think somebody still has to pay for it, right? Even if it's free access to 600,000 people, somebody has to carry the bill, right? So were they able to do so? How did that happen?
Actually, most of our projects were projects either beyond the city of Tshwane. All our projects are either subsidized by a private entity or a public entity. And because we're a not-for-profit, so that is a model that it's free to the end user. So the emphasis is always on it's free Wi-Fi to the end user, but obviously someone is paying for it. As with the city of Tshwane, the case was that, as I said earlier, Project Isizwe was then awarded the grant under the MFMA Act at that time. And at the moment, all our projects are subsidized either by a private or a public entity. So someone is paying for it. It's free to the end user.
Okay. So now your relationship with the city of Tshwane, is that over now?
Our contract came to an end on the 30th of June. But Project Isizwe has a footprint across 5 provinces and the country.
Okay, so basically the same thing now duplicated elsewhere.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
How is that changing things? Because what I want to do, and this is the part that I want to understand around innovation, that just by your innovation and certain cities or municipalities or local government, in this case here, municipalities, they through their innovative collaboration, notwithstanding, we mustn't forget the business that supported, they've brought access to people and therefore effectively democratized knowledge, right? Otherwise they would not have had. So give us some examples how it's changing things for them. So
the project that we launched early this year with another non-for-profit called aware.org. They are a non-for-profit that advocates for anti-underage drinking. As you would know, our daily life is becoming more increasingly digital, and those that are offline will continue to be pulled further into the margins of society. And so that not only increases the gap of inequality, so socioeconomic gap of inequality, but the digital divide is way bigger and broader. But what we did with aware.org was not only use the internet, so we went there to the communities of Bushbuckridge and in Botshabelo, so Bushbuckridge in the Northwest and Botshabelo and the Free State, and put up these hotspots in these communities. And we are aware that internet access is just an enabler. The real goal is what happens when people are connected. So in partnership with aware.org, what we did was we're running this anti-underage drinking campaign on the free Wi-Fi hotspots. And so what happens is our users, when they connect to the free Wi-Fi, they're able to then get redirected onto this content portal that is branded by aware.org, and there's more information around anti-underage drinking and the dangers thereof. So we've had testimonials from people saying, I did not know the dangers of underage drinking. We have some of these hotspots at schools, and we've had teachers then come back and write to us and say the attendance of the children, of the learners at the school was very low, but since there's now internet access at the school, the attendance has actually improved dramatically. So that's just amongst a number of the positive impacts. We've had people then write back to us and say, well, I use the internet to now apply for jobs online. And other people doing amazing initiatives and programs. So we're running also another program with Google called the Digital Skills Program, where people are learning more about marketing skills and et cetera on the internet. So we continue to get testimonials on a weekly basis on how people have used the Wi-Fi to engage on other platforms.
Well, talking about Wi-Fi and WhatsApp and all that sort of thing, I've asked for you to call in. You can certainly do so, 0891 104 207. My guest is Dudu Mkhwanazi, who's the CEO of Project Isizwe, and they collaborate effectively with governments or local municipalities to bring free Wi-Fi to those communities, so effectively liberating them really in a massive way, and they do that by partnering with other companies that effectively subsidizes the cost. I think it's such an important, innovative way, obvious way of doing things, but it doesn't happen always, and they're certainly doing so. I've also asked for WhatsApp notes, and you can certainly do that. Even now, not more than 30 seconds. It makes it very efficient if you do just that. So please help us out. Here's the number, 0614 104 107. Here's one of them.
Well, hello, Ashraf. My viewpoint is that Wi-Fi is very important, since we're coming from the past where we have been in the situation of Bantu education. I think the first thing that can come to us as South African, especially as disadvantaged Black South African, is the issue of access to Wi-Fi, because we're coming from a bad past where our education was bad, so that if we want to improve our knowledge and access and to compete with the world, we need to have this free Wi-Fi access.
Okay, well, stating the absolute obvious, we need to have the free Wi-Fi access. Let's then segue from just free Wi-Fi, but your overall issue of access to internet has to be a human right, Dudu. And let's talk about some of the factors that are impacting on why we're not getting that. That means not just what you're doing, but this daily story of, fees must fall, moving to data must fall, right? Why is data or data so expensive in our country in particular?
I think that's a question we need to pose to the MNOs, and I think every South African keeps asking that question, on Twitter or on Facebook. Why is
so what do you think?
So expensive? So I would then refer to the excuse most MNOs use on the daily, and the argument is that they need more spectrum allocated so that they could bring down the cost of data. Well, that's the argument.
Is it a valid argument? I mean, do you think they're right? Are they convincing enough, or you'd argue against that?
Well, MNOs are allocated the biggest spectrum, in the country, and I feel us as small ISPs are already, operating on unlicensed spectrum, and that is 5.8 gigahertz, and we're still able to connect millions of South Africans. I mean, for the past 5 years, Isizwe has connected 4.4 million unique users on unlicensed spectrum. And MNOs are sitting on spectrum that part of it they're not using, and yet the cost of data is expensive. I saw someone wrote a tweet that a gig of data in Lesotho is, I think, close to about 89 rand, whereas from Vodacom. Whereas in South Africa, a gig of data is 149 rand. So it's the same mobile network operators operating in different countries here in Africa, and yet the cost of data is completely different. And the excuse is different, but the main excuse is on spectrum. But as Project Isizwe, we'd like to disagree that the issue is spectrum. We just think the issue is a monopoly and lack of proper regulation around the cost of data.
So outside of the fact that you are lobbying, and I understand you're certainly doing so, people listening in, and we are encouraging innovative thought to solutions of our country. So someone listening in today, and it may not even be a big organization, they could even have a small organization, and they feel they want to be part of assisting to democratize the access to the internet. Can they collaborate with you? What can they do?
Oh yes. So we're open to partnering with all those that believe that the digital divide has to be broken, and they can definitely go on to our website. It's www.projectisizwe.org. We're happy to collaborate with any big or small organizations that are passionate about driving and bridging the digital divide.
Okay, got that. I think it's very important. Just give us that website once again.
Okay, it's www.projectisizwe.org.
Okay, and I'll also leave it to you. You've been very active on social media. I'll leave it to you to tweet, to Facebook, to Instagram, and all that, so that people can follow those links as well. We certainly want to encourage that as well. Well, thank you for your time. We love the fact that you're thinking innovatively around solutions, and that's what we want to encourage, and goodness, we absolutely need that as well. That's Dudu Mkhwanazi, the CEO of Project Isizwe, coming up first with a link with the city of Tshwane, and then moving up to maybe 5 other regions in the country around providing access to internet, that's free Wi-Fi effectively, to many people who otherwise would never have access to it, and that means a denial of access of knowledge, and that's important. Drama, real drama, comes up next.